Thank you for joining the Battle Axe broadcast. Welcoming you is the angry old fat broad herself, your host, Linda Kame of Lionheart Canine in Maryland. Pets in general and dogs specifically are a topic of conversation in every household in America. Love them or hate them, they're a powerful feature in our lives. They enrich our lives in many ways, but there's a tax of some form or another associated with their ownership. Deciding to get a dog is fraught with all sorts of choices and risks associated with those choices. Social media is filled with a lot of comedy about dogs and their behavior, but not a lot of common sense deciphering why that cute dog laying on the bed is menacing the individual cackling about how cute that dog is from behind the camera. I'm taking a different tactic in the hopes of helping people make appropriate choices in choosing their companions for their lives and for their lifestyles. Wishing to include a dog in your life is a great decision. It's been shown to increase longevity and emotional well-being. You can make bad choices, though, predicated on sentiment or popularity, and those choices can profoundly affect not only your health, but the safety and welfare of others. Having dogs all your life does not make you a pro. When you buy your next washer and dryer, you base those decisions on a rigorous process of researching the best brands, their reliability, performance, and longevity. You study reviews, manufacturer specifications, installation schematics, and a whole host of other things. You select professionals to help you build your home, repair your car, provide you with medical care. Just because your neighbor or your friend has a Dogo Argentino that you think is pretty cool doesn't mean you shouldn't contact a professional for their input. It's what we're here for. It beats having to remediate the mistakes after the dog has already bitten someone. If you have had great success in the past, great. This series probably is not for you. If you're a first-time dog owner or have had issues with selecting poorly in the past, then you are whom these videos have been produced for. What we choose, the selection process for where we acquire the dog itself, and the care we provide throughout its natural life directly impact whether you're happy with your choice or look for ways to extract yourself from the problem you very much had a hand in creating. Every day, our news outlets remind us of the damage dogs do, most recently the German Shepherd and the Mastiff that killed an Amazon driver in Missouri. There are many things wrong with that tragedy, things that went wrong or started out wrong, but ultimately a human being paid with their life. And that potential risk must always be a consideration when selecting an apex predator to live with you, regardless of how small. Don't worry, I'm not slagging on owners that fail dogs. It's a tool to prevent you from making bad choices. Ultimately, people will do what they want, but then they don't get to complain about not knowing when the information had been available all along. Had they just concerned themselves a little more about the animal they would be spending the next 10 years with, as well as the washer and the dryer. It's sort of like a marriage. You want to do it. You think you're great together, but are you really going into it with the full intention of pursuing the institution of marriage? Or is the prospect of making it work not part of your grand design? You think that a relationship is easy and doesn't require maintenance. I suspect your parents fought, you and your siblings fought, you had friends that ended up enemies, and that's all because relationships require effort. It doesn't matter if that relationship is with a goldfish or with a human, you still have to put forth some effort in order to maintain it. And the more complex the species, the more difficult that effort might be. Dogs require thoughtful planning. As a trainer, I see the results of failed relationships and those doomed from the start. It hurts my heart to watch these dogs lead miserable lives with people that are poorly prepared from the beginning. That champagne merle-coated Frenchie cost $15,000 to buy, but the vet bills for the sinus and air surgery, the invertebral disc disease, and the allergies have already exceeded that number. You may not have known, but I guarantee you there are probably at least 2 or 3 people nearby that did, would have, and could have shown you a way from making that decision. Even if you had to have the puppy anyway, you should have gone in with your eyes wide open. I'm going to share my opinion about designer breeds now before all the doodle fans get twisted in a knot. Ultimately, when you think about it, 140 years ago, a Labrador Retriever was just a designer breed, as much as the Frenchie was, but at least it was a dog with a purpose. The market hunter needed a versatile dog with endless drive that he could shoot over all day, every day. Technically, all purebreds started out as designer breeds. Fight me. It's a fact. Years ago, though, they were breeds with purpose. Today, their only purpose seems to be the lining of somebody's pockets with little green strips of paper called money. I don't have a problem with designer breeds, but the purpose of breeding 2 dogs together shouldn't be how much you can sell the puppies for, but to at least satisfy the requirement of improving health, temperament, and longevity in either parent. Let's face it, most dogs produced today end up in pet homes. The extravagant purebred that graced the homes of the Victorian era have been replaced with virtue-signaling rescues and shelter dogs or amalgams of breeds designed to separate people from their Benjamins. Like Doodles, the color and coat varieties of Frenchies, Silver Labs, and a whole host of other breeds. As for my ire over rescues and shelter, I'll own that too. Years ago, when the world was still sane, breed clubs operated their own rescues and shelters were prepared to make unpopular decisions about dogs for both space and behavior. The world has changed, and our need to understand why the landscape of dogs has changed starts with understanding what makes dogs different, how genetics influence behavior, and how humans influence that selection criterion. The market demands a supply, and social mores determine the source of that supply. When a person leaves with their dog as a rescue, or the owner laments sadly how they adopted the dog from a shelter, I have to admit, I've trained myself to control my resting bitch face and stifle the snark that wants to punch its way free out of my clenched teeth, and instead just smile and nod. They are practices in the art of deception, and what they don't lie about is sheer pig ignorance. I'm talking about rescues and shelters. We'll get into that in another video. So don't worry, you can throw all the hate at me you want. Keep it a lively topic. When you can track more than 70% of the dog fatalities in the last few years to dogs adopted from shelters or funneled from high-profile no-kill shelters into rescues, where they are rehomed into communities that are unaware of the dog's background, it's like allowing a pedophile to live near an elementary school. It's only a matter of time before something goes horribly wrong. The system is broken. Nothing will improve until someone has the balls to address the fallacy that no-kill has become. The adopt, don't shot crowd cannot grok that the whole no-kill movement is a sham, and the dogs that don't fit into Winogrand's paradigm are shuffled down the road to rescue that may love dogs but don't know the first thing about them, where they are released into the wilderness of your neighborhood, and people start getting concerned that the kids can't walk to the bus stop without being menaced by politically correct lab mix she rescued from a high-kill shelter in the ubiquitous Deep South or some such. I don't have a problem with acquiring a dog from a shelter or rescue. I have a problem with the open deception these places practice in order to get dogs out of their facility and into homes. Any homes, most woefully unprepared ones lately. Like I said, well-intended, but short on skill sets. But moving on. Purebreds, please. The selection criterion has shifted from one of purpose and utility to one of status and physical appearance. The working breeds have taken a real nosedive in this country and many others as the work of dogs titrates down from helpmate to companion. What people want is the idea of a dog, not the dog itself most of the time. Our shopping catalogs are filled with images of beautiful dogs that appear within our imagination to be fulfilling a task that reminds us of how we want to live, whether it's a dream or a goal. The reality is generally far different. The dogs in those pictures are trained. They don't come that way. They're made that way. Just ask the guy that saw an exotic breed of continental hunting dog that he absolutely had to have. Instead of researching the breed, asking the owner he saw for the name of that dog's breeder, and flew all the way out to the West Coast for his pup. 4 years later, he's still wrestling with her uncapped drives and predatory behavior. There's a reason for that. It takes time. It takes resources. It takes a commitment to doing the right thing, and by starting with the right raw material. That is why I've designed this video series to help folks make the right choice for them. Whether their choice is a rescue dog, a shelter dog, a purebred, or a deliberate combination of breeds, I'm going to try to help you select the right type of dog for you, what to expect, how to prepare, and what to do when things don't go as planned. I anticipate releasing once a week on Sunday mornings, simultaneously to all of my media properties. If it gets enough traffic and if there's enough interest, I will incorporate weekly chats. Hope to see you there.